Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Fun or Run. This is the review show where we take a quick look at a game and let you know whether or not it is fun or if you should run. The game in question today is none other than Death Stranding. So first things first, I don't want to spoil anything for anybody on here, so be warned. I'm showing you some gameplay footage of, I'm about 9 hours in at this point from what you're seeing. So some of the stuff you're seeing here could be technically considered spoilers. I'll try to stay away from cutscenes and things like that, but can't guarantee that everything you're seeing here won't be a little bit of a spoiler. But hey, at this point the game's been out for a while, and a lot of people have been talking about it, and there's been lots and lots of videos, so yeah, here's your warning. So, Death Stranding on Fun or Run. Well, the only thing I can tell you is, let's just take it away from games for a second. Think about household pets. Yes, let's talk about household pets. There's games, and there's a whole bunch of different kind of games. And there's household pets, and there's a whole bunch of different kinds of household pets. So, would you get mad at your dog because it's not a fish? I wouldn't. Would you get mad at your cat because it's not a dog? This is what I'm talking about. Death Stranding is a game, just like other games are games. But that's about as closely related as they get. If you've been looking at the internet, if you've been curious about this game, if you've been thinking about it or watching anything at all, you've seen all kinds of people talking about how much they love it. There's scores of 10s. There's scores of 9s. But then there's some scores of like 6, 6.5. Some people hate it. They say it's a 0. There's no good. People are calling it a walking simulator. All kinds of things. So really, what's the deal? Okay? It's not a dog. It's not a fish. It's not a cat. It's Death Stranding, and it's not a game like you have ever played before. Or maybe you have played something like this before. It's not like anything I've played before, I can tell you that. I am a fan of Kojima. I did like a lot of the Metal Gear games. I didn't finish every single one of them, especially 5. Not being so long. But he's always been well known for coming up with some really strange stuff and some cutscenes, a lot of story. The guy is a huge fan of all kinds of entertainment from the past, and he likes to try to put that into his games that he makes for current games. It's no wonder that a lot of this comes off very cinematic, because the man's a huge lover of cinema. And people say, well, geez, Kojima, why don't you go make a movie then? Well, he kind of did. And he also made a game at the same time. So let me just give you what I think about it. And here on Fun or Run, it's not really a definitive answer. It's you coming here to hear me tell you whether or not I think it's actually fun or if you should run. So, just the fact that I'm already past 10 hours on this game should tell you something, because I have the attention span of nothing, you know? 5-year-olds have more attention span than I do on most things. I play games, and it takes a special thing to really suck me in and make me want to keep playing it. Death Stranding to me is the kind of game where you start playing it and time goes by without you noticing. Some games I'll play them, and I'll play them for an hour, and then I'll look over at the clock and I'll be like, man, it feels like I've been playing this for 4 hours and it's only been an hour. This is the kind of game that's the opposite of that, where you look over at the clock and you swear you've only been there for half an hour and it's been 4 hours, and oh geez, it's 1 a.m, you gotta go to work in the morning, you better go to bed. That kind of thing. That's what happens when I'm playing this game. Does that mean it's fun? I don't know. It means that it's holding my attention, so that's step 1. The story is very different. I mean, it's not a different story. It's post-apocalyptic. Of course, something happened in the world, and now everybody's pretty much gone. They live in these underground shelters. You go outside. The rain makes things age. You can't touch the rain. However, I never have figured out yet why if your skin touches the rain, you age. If the containers get wet, they start to deteriorate. All kinds of things fall apart in the rain, but he can wear this suit, and the suit somehow is impervious to this. It doesn't age or fall apart. I don't know. So anyway, you go out, and yes, people say this is a walking simulator, that you're just making deliveries. That's the very top surface level of this thing. Yes, you are technically making deliveries, and most of the time you have to walk, because even though later on you get vehicles and things like that, they're only useful for a little while. And then you just got to get up and start walking. But that's where the fun is, for me in the game anyway, is the challenge of figuring out where to go and how to get there. You can look at the map, very detailed. You can even hold down the touchpad and rotate the controller around a little bit, and it will move the whole map around so that you can see the elevation and like what kind of cliffs you're up against and stuff. I was playing this yesterday, and I come up against this cliff, and I'm thinking, okay, I looked at the map and I plotted out my course. I had to sneak into a base and try to steal some stuff back and then deliver it somewhere. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to sneak in from the side. I'm going to go over this little ridge. It's kind of like if you're playing Skyrim and you think you're going to go from here to there, and there's this thing in the middle, and you just cannot climb over it. You'll spend half of your day just trying to get there instead of just walking around the side or whatever. It's kind of like that. I didn't bring enough ladders and climbing things, so I got there, and I'm pretty close to where I needed to be, but I just didn't have the ladder. Couldn't get over. Took me a lot longer to go back down and around, and yeah, it's a walking simulator, but it's not like Desert Bus. You're not just sitting there going straight ahead for hours on end and doing nothing. You're actively trying to overcome the obstacles that are put in front of you. So if that doesn't sound exciting to you, it might not be. So I can see where some people would think it's boring. But I find it kind of challenging. It's pretty cool to try to figure out, okay, I'm going to go this way and I'm going to go that way. You set up a whole plan in your head of what you're going to try to do to basically complete all these missions that they give you. You know, like I said, I'm trying to be as vague as I can without saying anything real specific, and I'm sure there's a ton more in this game that I haven't even scratched the surface of yet. This is fun to run. It's a quick look at a game. Quick look being that I've played about 10 hours of it, which with most games I would already been done. But this game I know is going to go 40, 50 hours plus if you do everything. So there's going to be lots and lots of surprises down the road, even for me. But for the first 10 hours, if you can't make it past that, you're never going to see hour 30 or 40. So that's what we're doing the review now for, is because I'm telling you how I feel about it at this point. So, yeah, it's a real challenge. I can't take my eyes off of it. It's beautiful, for one. The graphics are great. The sound is great. It's really actually kind of spooky when all the BTs, you may have heard about these also, the BTs are the beach things. And they're like these ghost creatures that kind of float around in the air, but then once you get into their zone and they notice you, then they try to pull you down into the black goo. It's crazy. It's kind of scary. You have this baby attached to you, the BB. And the reason why you have that is another little story point, I guess, is that after everybody died and all that was left were these people underground, most of the things couldn't find their way to the other side. And that's what these BTs are, the beach things, meaning that they're dead, I don't know, people, souls, whatever, and they float around and they try to pull you down with them, and they can't fight, they can't figure out where they're supposed to go. They don't know how to get to the other side or whatever. Again, it's not super clear. Maybe by the end of 50 hours you'll figure it out, but that's what I've got so far. But anyway, certain people have this stuff which I believe they're calling dooms, D-O-O-M-S. Basically, it means that you have something about you that can either sense the BTs or you can fight back against them. I have some grenades and things that are actually made out of Sam's urine and feces and taking a shower. Like it's like bodily fluid stuff turns into grenades to go against the BTs. I'm telling you, this is crazy game. Very strange. But the baby is there because it also has the sensing abilities for these BTs. So the baby is on you to help you navigate through the world and try to avoid these areas where these things are, or at least run away from them once they see you. So that's pretty much the baby thing. So far, again, I'm into like chapter 3 of 14. There's a whole lot here on this game. It's going to go on for quite a ways. So, okay, that's the gist of what you do, at least during the first 10 hours. The other side of this thing is that Kojima basically has come out and said that socially, he doesn't believe that the way things are going right now is so good. He thinks people need to work together. He's more for collaboration and people being together, as opposed to how you look online. It seems like everybody's so separated. You know, nobody really works together. Everybody's fighting against each other. Part of the reason why he made this game is he wanted you to go out and walk across this big, desolate world alone, and you feel alone. You feel like you really need some help. And so he's come up with this really cool way for this to be online. Now, you can turn this off. You can play the game completely offline with none of the online on at all. And I also believe you don't have to have a PSN for the online part of this to work. So that's kind of cool. He really wants everybody to get this feeling out of it. This is his art. This is what his vision was for this thing. So as you're walking around, first off, you have to go from town to town and basically turn them back on to the network. It's like everything has been going to hell, and you're the last person that can go around and fix it all. So you go from town to town, and you basically reconnect each one of them to the chiral network, sort of like the internet. They can all talk to each other, and things start moving and happening again. Every time you turn on another town, another section of the map is basically activated, has access. And so while you're in those areas, things that other players, actual real-world humans like us, other players are doing things in the world, you get to see some of the things that they leave behind. You can't, like, meet up and co-op play this or anything. But remember the story I was telling you a second ago about my ladders? Didn't have any ladders. Couldn't get up over that ridge. Well, if I bring a ladder next time and put it up where I needed to get over the ridge, if I leave it there, someone else that's playing the game may get my items in their game. So they'll come up against that ridge and go, oh, somebody left a ladder here. And then they can climb it. And then you give each other likes. It's very weird because it's like social media. There's all kinds of things that when something you see or something you do that someone else has left there, you have to hit the button. And you can hit it a whole bunch of times to give them a whole bunch of likes. You smash that like button, like everybody says. And that's part of how you level up. That's part of how your character gets stronger, is able to carry more weight, carry more items, go farther without tripping and falling. You're constantly fighting. If you have a heavy load, a lot of items that you're going to deliver somewhere, you're constantly fighting to try to continue walking without falling over. If Sam trips and falls over, it damages some of your packages, and sometimes your mission will completely fail if you damage the package, damage the item that you're supposed to be bringing wherever. And it's not just items for items' sake. All the story missions have purpose. There are side missions just to continue to flesh out everything and expand your character, expand all of your attributes. But you get all these likes for doing things, and then at the end of each mission, the likes turn into your XP, basically, and levels up certain aspects of Sam. So it's pretty cool. And that's where it hooks you in, is when you're struggling to get to the next spot, and then you see up ahead somebody left something there. If you're riding a motorcycle or you're riding one of these cars or whatever, they're all electric in this game. If you start to run out of electricity and your car's going to stop or your bike's going to stop, and then just on the horizon you happen to see a generator, because you can build these things. There's all kinds of stuff that you can build along the way. You find a generator, you drive up next to it, and suddenly, right when you needed it, there it was. I got into a fight where these BTs were trying to pull me down, and it was all black goo everywhere. It was really, really creepy, and I thought for sure I was done. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, this thing pops up and starts throwing me these grenade things that I needed. Like somebody had left them there. Because I guess this is an area where this fight happens frequently. So somebody had left things there. Again, it's more of Kojima's his vision for people to work together. So it's just insane how big this game is. The world, like I said, the graphics, the way it works, everything is so, I don't know, it's so high quality. But the gameplay itself, just like your dog is not your fish, this is not Call of Duty. This is not most of the games that a lot of people play. It's not high action. It's not high adrenaline. It's not super fast. There's no race cars. There's, you know, that kind of stuff. This is more of a, for me anyway, it's more of like a relaxing sit down and really get immersed. That's why I lose track of time, because I'm really immersed in the game. It pulls you in if you want it to. If this isn't your cup of tea and you just want to play multiplayer, you want to play Fortnite, you want to play Call of Duty, or any of those things, I know Kojima's went on record saying that he thinks that it got bad reviews in the US because most Americans just like to play shooters. Well, a lot of Americans do like to play shooters, but a lot of Americans like to play this kind of stuff too. So he might be a little off base there. But I think a lot of the people that are not in favor of this game, that just don't like it, I think maybe they were looking for a dog when they got a fish. You know? Some people really want that fish. I don't know, I'm going with the dog and fish thing way too much, but you understand what I'm saying. Your expectations, I think part of the reason why I seem to like it is because I went into this expecting almost nothing. I wasn't even going to get it until I started seeing some of the previews and I saw how cool the environment looked, how photorealistic everything looked. I couldn't help myself. I just wanted to try it out and see what it looked like. I had to try it. And so far, so good, man. It's hooking me in. I'm 10 hours in and I feel like I just scratched the surface and I have no intention of stopping anytime soon. I want to be done with this video and go play more Death Stranding. I really like it. I don't know if everyone will like it. Depends on what kind of games you really like, because this really is not like the other ones. If we're going back to the dog and fish, these are very different from one another. You know, this isn't cat and dog difference. This is dog and fish difference between this and what most super popular games are. So I feel like what I've been saying and rambling on about here is just as confusing as the game itself. So let's just end it by this. Here we are on Fun or Run, and I'm telling you whether or not I personally am having fun with it or not. Hopefully I gave you a little bit of insight as to what it is and what it isn't, and you can make the choice for yourself whether or not it's something that you really think would be cool, something you'd like to get into. I kind of think they would have done good to give this game a demo, honestly, for people to try, and maybe someday they will. But for here on Fun or Run, for Death Stranding, if you're asking me, yeah, I think it's a lot of fun. Hey, thanks everybody for sticking with me and watching the entire video. I hope you liked it. The best way to help out the channel is to leave a like, leave a comment, and tell your friends. If you'd like to support the channel further, there are links in the description. But otherwise, always remember that you never outgrow video games. My name's Chad the Gaming Dad, and we'll see you on the next one. So long, everybody.